Welcome to Plugged Inland. I'm Roger Bowman. During this hour, we're going to talk to students from Pacific High School and hear about some of the innovative programs they are using to bolster the performance of the students. We'll talk with a couple of great kids in the first half hour, and during the second half, we'll talk to a local pastor whose mentoring is making a real difference at the school. Now, as you may recall, our last season focused on the alarming rate of high school dropout in America. 25% of kids never graduate, a quarter of them. In SoCal, the number is even higher. Almost 1 out of 3 don't get a diploma. Did you know it was that high? As a society, we want our kids productive and successful because they'll make cool things for us to enjoy, generally commit less crime, and pay more taxes. Luckily, our series was able to highlight some of the many programs around the Inland Empire that catches at-risk kids and immerses them in last-ditch teaching to earn their diploma or earn their GED. And we were proud to be a part of that national project called the American Graduate, Let's Make It Happen, funded by CPB and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We opened the season by looking at a formerly underperforming high school that had turned itself around. The school was Pacific High in San Bernardino. Under Principal Tex Acosta, the school was seeing large year-over-year gains in nearly every measure of student performance. On this episode, we talk about some of the innovations that have helped that school achieve this remarkable turnaround. All of these augment the traditional classroom instruction model. So let's watch a brief video that introduces them.
My name is Samuel Aris, and I am in the class of 2014 at Pacific High School. People ask, what is RTI?
Well, with response to intervention here, it's tailored to each student's needs. We know exactly where every student is in the entire school for Algebra 1 or geometry or the exit exam, and we know what standards that they've met, which standards they have not met.
How is the RTI program more efficient than traditional support class?
I think the regular classroom guides the instruction, but the regular classroom doesn't have the time we have or the flexibility we have to meet all the needs of the students. In a regular classroom, we have strict pacing guides that teachers have to follow and get through the material in 170 days or so.
What does this do for the students?
So before Donovan can exit, if he's met the needs of Standard 2, that's great, but now he needs to take a look at Standards 3 and Standards 4. Evelyn, on the other hand, maybe would take a few more days, and therefore she's still working on Standard 2 when Donovan's now on Standard 4. So when you go into the response intervention classroom, what you're seeing is students at various levels, not only grade-wise, but ability-wise.
How does RTI use technology to help students? Because the math practice problems are generated by special algorithms, you can create an infinite number of practice sets, and they are answered on special scantrons. When a student has bubbled in the scantron with their answers, they bring it up to the teacher's desk and feed it into a scanner that generates immediate feedback and creates a new set of practice problems based on their needs. This cycle provides continuous and immediate feedback, sometimes 2 and 3 times a period.
My name is Chris Gomez, and I'm in the class of 2013 at Pacific High School. A major emphasis that Pacific High School has introduced to help students to succeed is a school-wide program to teach writing strategies across all subjects. Helping students develop their writing skills was identified as a great need on campus in order to prepare students to be successful in college and careers.
My name is Gabriela Maldonado, and I am in the class of 2013 at Pacific High School. Research has shown that gender classes have helped increase student achievement. The California Department of Education found that gender classes provided the following benefits. They increased student learning and academic performance, improved behavior in the classrooms, and motivated both students and parents to participate more in school. As a result of this research, Pacific piloted a small number of gender classes in the 2011-2012 school year and tracked the students' test scores. And these gender classes had higher state test scores than students in regular classes. This school year, Pacific has expanded the gender classes to 15 sections, 7 for girls and 8 for boys, including courses in math, English, science, and history.
Pacific High School's team teaching program is effective because it helps students and teachers in the classroom. Pacific chose to use team teaching because the researchers found that it helps increase student test scores and improve grades. Team teaching is currently offered in history classes. Students benefit from team teaching because they receive more of a variety of teaching methods and styles to help them learn.
My name is Yoali Aragon, and I am in the class of 2013 at Pacific High School. At Pacific High School, we don't wait for students to fail before providing them the support they need. Pacific uses test data from the previous year to identify students who are likely to need assistance in order to pass the California High School Exit Exam, or CASE. These students are then placed in a safe harbor support class their freshman or sophomore year to ensure that they pass the CASE the first time they take it. Pacific offers 5 safe harbor class sections in math and 5 sections in English to both 9th and 10th graders throughout the school day. In the last 4 years, Pacific raised its CASE passing rate from 55 to 71% in math and from 56 to 68% in English. Not only are a record number of sophomores passing the CASE on their first attempt, but the number of students passing with a proficient score has risen from 25 to 41% in mathematics and 27 to 37% in English.
My name is Rosa Gomez, and I am in the class of 2015 at Pacific High School. Pacific Lifeboat program offers 11 and 12th grade students the opportunity to help instruct younger students in the classroom. These student lifeboat helpers are assigned to a 9th or 10th grade class in order to assist the teacher by helping students learn the lesson. Both the teacher and the tutors work one-on-one with the students to check for understanding. Not only does this provide more attention to the students in the class, but the lifeboat tutors also gain a greater understanding of the material themselves. Pacific currently offers lifeboat tutors in both math and special education classes.
Sitting patiently and only mildly panicked at the thought of being on live TV are 2 students of Pacific High, Daniela Palma-Munguia and Nathan Medina-Silva. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
So, what grade are you both in?
I'm a senior this year, sorry.
12th grade, same thing.
All right, so wow, you only have what, a couple of more weeks and then you are out of there.
Yes, 2 more
Gone,
weeks,
2
counting
weeks.
down already.
Excited?
Yes, really.
It's gonna be
Yes.
a crazy day. Oh, I'm looking forward to it semi, but you know, there's always that kind of nostalgic feeling.
Yes, because once you're gone, other than a reunion, you won't be back again.
Yes.
You lose the friends, you move on, and are you both moving on? What are you going to do out of
Yes.
high school?
Well, after graduating, I'm going on to college, going to UCLA. So I'll be heading there this fall.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nice. What are you going to major in?
I'm trying to major in industrial engineering.
Great, and you're not allowed to change that major anytime during your college, as you know.
Yes, it's really hard to get in right now, so I was lucky to get in.
Okay, everybody
So
I
I'm
know
just-
changes their major at least a few times.
They
but
do, but I mean, I'm pretty confident that I'll want to stay in that field. I mean, I've been taking a couple classes throughout high school
Yeah,
that just led me there.
good for you. And Nathan, what are you going to be doing?
Oddly enough, I'm going to be going to a community college. Not
Not odd.
necessarily, well,
A lot of us did that.
because considering I got accepted to Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz, I just felt it a little odd. But I just want to get my general ed done.
Yeah.
So I can, you know, save some money and, you know, not be in debt for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
'cause
you know what a lot of people don't even realize is community college is a lot less expensive than
It
a
really
UC.
is. It really
And if
is.
you're a resident, you can save a lot by doing 2 years at $18 a unit instead of $35,000 a year at a UC. I mean, it's a huge difference in your student loans.
Very much so.
One of my biggest worry right now, need to find enough scholarships and
Is financing.
financial aid.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm getting enough. Just today, I got a scholarship at our scholarship
Today?
assembly. Yes,
Just
today.
before you got here?
Just before I got here too.
Okay, what'd you get?
I got a $1,000 scholarship for the women's golf club of San Bernardino.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not a golfer. However, they were giving it out to any women in San Bernardino who are involved in sports.
Okay,
So,
what sports are you involved
I'm
in?
involved in cross country and track.
What degree did UCLA look for that beyond your grade point average?
Well, they looked for other clubs, organizations, sorry, any other leadership roles that I was involved in, or community service.
What'd you do
So,
for community service?
Community service, I was involved in my middle school's CAPS program as a tutor.
I don't know what CAPS is.
CAPS is an after-school program for students whose parents can't come pick them up right after school. So they give them a couple classrooms where other teachers come in or any other volunteers, and they can come in and just help the students or stay with them, watch them until their parents could come get them.
So you became community service of tutoring by lack of transportation.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not at my high school. It's at a local middle school. So I would head there after high school, after school was over, and then just go and help them out.
That's very cool, though. So Nathan, you are. What do you see as the big picture?
What do you mean, the big picture?
Where are you going after community college?
Community college, after that, I'm hoping to go into Cal Poly, Pomona, and go into theoretical physics.
Oh, lightweight work. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, easy, simple. No problem. You'll get accepted for sure.
You know, not a worry.
Let me talk about what prepped you to embark on these very ambitious careers. I'm going to congratulate you both. You sound like you're doing great. So there's programs at Pacific High, and the video talked about some of those that kind of help students that are struggling, but there's also programs that help aspiring students make sure they go on to college. And they talked about AVID. You were both in AVID, at least for some time, were you not?
Yes.
So Nathan, start with your experience.
In AVID, I was in sophomore and junior years, which I'm kind of sad I didn't take it this year because I kind of took it for granted in the fact that this year things have been a lot harder to just like organize and just keep, you know, in their place.
Yeah.
And AVID just really helped a lot with that.
And that's really, for the audience that doesn't know, AVID is in a lot of high schools, and that is really its goal. It doesn't teach you any subject. It teaches you how to organize, how to understand, how to prep for college, what colleges expect of you that maybe go beyond what you need to graduate in high school, study habits, those kind of intangible things. Yeah. So I'm expecting that in the first 2 years you felt like, I got this, I know I'm organized now, and then your senior year hits and it sounds like...
Hectic, it just went to, I don't even know. It just went really bad. I've had a tough time this year, especially just, you know, organizing all of my classes, getting things done on time, and, you know, I wish I would have taken it. I'm getting through it though.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's the big thing.
You have the right story, you're graduating, you're going on, it sounds good. And you were in AVID too, were you not, Daniela?
Yes, I've been in AVID since middle school. And then I started off high school, and it always kept me focused with organization, just always on top of my homework, knowing how to do the work, or right now for college, knowing how to apply for colleges. That was my biggest worry. I mean, my parents didn't go to college, so I didn't have any help at home for it. So those teachers.
Let's touch on that for a moment.
Yes.
Nathan, what about your parents? Did they go to college?
Nope, neither of them. Well, my mother did for a short amount of time, but, you know, things happen.
So you two are really kind of the perfect subjects for AVID, because as I understand it, and you attended, so clarify for me, AVID is designed for those students who are the first in their family to go to college, because the presumption is if you have parents that have gone to college, then they kind of know what colleges expect. They know how to prepare you and help you through the applications to college and help you organize your material better and everything. But if you don't have a family that has gone to college, looking at their admissions criteria and the application process can be very, very daunting. And that's what AVID excels at, is basically being the people that have been to college there to just help you through that process.
It is. I mean, just knowing when to take my tests, deadlines, things like that. If I hadn't taken AVID, I wouldn't have known any of that. And I probably wouldn't have done my applications and then not gone to UCLA, how I'm planning to this coming fall. So it really does help. It helps you just stay on top of things.
Okay,
so that's what helps.
I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Marlon Smotherman. He was an AVID teacher that was on here last year, and I just want to say, great job. Even if he wasn't your teacher,
no, he was.
I just loved it. He was. Perfect. Oh my gosh. All right, so, and Nathan, you seem confident and self-assured right now. Is that always the case?
No, I am surprised I can sit somewhat still. I mean, even so, I'm a little shaky, but, you know, I've never pictured myself here in front of like a live, studio kind of thing.
And you're doing great.
Yeah.
I can't tell you're nervous. I don't think our audience can tell you're nervous.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But I hadn't really conquered this, kind of fear until last year, even towards the end of the year, actually. Up until then, I was actually really an introvert. So people, never really my thing. I just never you want to talk to me? Kind of, whimper away and just, go be myself. But, one of the things that got me was just other people. Some people can be really selfless, and Selfless, yes.
Okay.
They're not always there, but, when you find them, they decide to be around. And those are the people that actually found me and, picked me up and got me to be who I am and, not as nervous.
So you're saying you were mentored, more or less, into blooming, like you're doing.
Yeah, it was a couple, maybe 2 or 3 friends that, they invited me out places and, asked me if I wanted to do things and asked me what I wanted to do, rather than, I'm just going to do what I want. You can come along if you want,
Good for you. So I'm going to touch on some of the programs. I know that you weren't necessarily in those programs, but you certainly know probably some students that were. So let's talk about them. One that really struck me is this idea of gender-segregated classrooms. I can't believe I'm seeing that in school. How is that being received by the students themselves?
I mean, I know a couple classmates who are in those classes, and from a girl's perspective, it's so much better. They like the idea that guys aren't there to make fun of them if they try to ask a question or make a comment. I mean, they feel like they have that liberty to just say what they think or what they think is the answer per se in a question, and not have to feel like scared that the guy's gonna make fun of them. So.
Okay, so you're saying that the feeling of peer pressure, being watched or judged by the guys in the classroom, for the girls, being judged by the guys in the classroom is so much that it would otherwise shut them down.
Yeah.
And in the gender-specific classes, they feel not judged by their peer females. Is that?
Yes, they feel more comfortable. They feel like they can actually do their work and ask the questions that they need without being judged.
Do either of you know how the guys are receiving this idea?
The guys, it's the same thing, but it's not necessarily, being poked fun at. It's more of, oh, I don't have to, impress the girls. I don't have to impress them, show off or, in fact, just make sure that they know I'm here. Because I've heard that it's actually a lot more just, hey, let's actually be here and learn. And it's actually pretty satisfying. Look in and see people actually learning rather than just yelling and whistling and hey.
So you're saying the guys don't put up a fit, that they're not going to be able to flirt with the girls all day long, or at least in the class. They have to actually pay attention in class.
They do, and it's actually mostly voluntary. Like, they did complain, everyone would kind of be like, oh man, it's going to be just all guys or all girls, but after a while they come around, and I've heard a lot of just great things like, oh, I can actually work, I don't have to worry about it.
Do you think that that's going to go widespread?
I feel like it really should.
I think it should. A couple classes in every high school, it would help them.
Yeah, I mean, not every class, because it's just not necessary, but I mean, it could definitely benefit people.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot, Nathan. We have an email question from Anita of Beaumont. What are your career goals? What will you do with a physics background?
With a physics background, I was actually talking to my physics teacher today, and I was hoping to possibly, maybe work for NASA. I mean, it's far-fetched.
Not at all. No, I mean, I'm serious. Yeah, JPL right in Pasadena, that'd be great.
But yeah, that's my big picture, I suppose.
Clean up space junk. That's just throwing that out there.
Just spit shine.
Well, there's this whole thing with there's too much debris and all of our satellites are getting clobbered or nearly clobbered. So, solve that and you're the Stephen Hawking of the modern era. Okay. So, You talked about the scholarship you just got, but as I understand, you had an opportunity for an even larger scholarship. Tell me about that, Daniela.
I got awarded the Presidential Scholarship for Cal State San Bernardino. It's a $25,000 scholarship for 4 years. So
wow.
Yes, I got awarded this scholarship for being the top 1% of my class. So. And
you happily took it and said, yeehaw.
No, I had to reject it. Unfortunately, my parents were hoping that I would take it. However, UCLA was on my mind since the first day, so I had to go big.
Both are great schools, but you know, I don't blame you for going for UCLA, and they're good to have you.
Yeah.
So, tell me a moment about the environment in high school. I mean, I think people of my generation are wondering what kind of an impact our new communicative society is having on the classroom. You have smartphones and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and texting. Like, I'm just gonna put you on the spot, Nathan. Like, how many texts a month would you send and receive?
This month so far, in this couple days, I've sent a good couple hundred, 300, I would suppose. In what, 8 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad.
Well, I know somebody near and dear to me whose run rate is about 13,000 sent and receives a month, and I know somebody, a girl who is every month comes in at over 17,000.
Gosh, and I thought 6,000 was a lot for me.
Yeah. Do you think that those things impact your ability to either pay attention in school or after school study, those kinds of things?
Definitely. I mean, with this new era, just technology is everywhere, and as it's expanding, there's just these more of these networks that we're getting caught up in, from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram to this new Path and Vine. It's a never-ending list of just.
And Vines is cool.
Yes, it is. I mean,
most of us, yeah.
I'll put myself out there. I don't have a smartphone, but at times I get sad about it.
That's why you're in the top 1%.
But I get happy. I get happy about it sometimes when I'm at home and I have so much homework, and I see that if I had the opportunity, I probably would be on Facebook or Instagram. However, since I don't have that possibility, I'm doing my homework. I'm like, okay. But I mean, it's worth it in the end.
Now see, my generation, I'm supposed to tell you how bad all that stuff is. Turn off your video games and hit the books. And you're supposed to come back with, no, we're more connected. We have access to instant information. Learning has reached a new peak because of this interconnected society with all information at your fingertips.
I mean, at times it helps. It does. I know for our English class, we have a blog. So at times when we have questions or anything, we can go to that website and we could help each other out with our homework. So it does help at times.
And do you find test sharing is a problem? Test share, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Daniela, for those with smartphones. No, I'm kidding. No, I've heard this report about some kids snapping a photo of the test and then passing it along to the kids that were absent or something.
Oh, well, I know for my classes, they changed the test, so you can't do that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think teachers have gotten caught along and they changed the test.
Yeah, I have to say, as a parent of a high schooler, I wish my son would put away the smartphone, but I have to say, we are entering an era where it's just remarkable. We have access to so much information. I don't think it can all be bad, but maybe that's my ex-Silicon Valley past speaking. So, did you like your experience at Pacific High School?
I did. I had a lot of great memories there. I mean, I think it all has to do with the people I surrounded myself with and the teachers along the way and the friends that I made along the way. It made it all better. I mean, just staying involved, I know for a fact that one of the things that helped me and made high school that much better was sports, with cross country and track. I mean, it was like another family there, knowing everyone, with our coaches. It was so fun. On the weekends, going to races, everyone just getting along.
Yeah. Okay, so Nathan, what about you? Same question. Did you enjoy Pacific High School?
It was a blast. I mean, this year I've had so many more opportunities with just sports and clubs and everything. I mean, I had never actually been much for extracurricular activities, as I had mentioned. So I mean, this year I was able to, actually put myself out there. I mean, I come out in the yearbook a couple times. I mean, I had to look for myself in previous yearbooks. I would like, oh look, there's my shoulder.
You buried yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I would still be excited eventually, but I mean, this year I'm actually coming out in clubs photos, you know, like ceramics and, you know, Key Club, and it's actually, it makes me happy. It's something I'll
Great.
be able to remember somehow.
Okay, well, we've reached the midpoint of our show. So our long-term viewers will recognize this as the point of the show, in which we roll a video and do our magical guest change while you're not looking. But the video is really short, so if you see some of the set crew still lingering about when we come out of the piece, well, just deal with it. No reason to be frantic, right? So let's take a moment and hear from the students who tell us how these various innovations are indeed helping them.
What are some results that RT at Palma has produced?
There's some class, Algebra 1. I took a test and I failed. So you take a couple lessons and you take a quiz and then a test. I've learned lessons better there than in the actual class. It's more like a one-on-one teaching kind of thing. It's a lot easier.
Well, in my regular classes, sometimes I sit next to guys, and like I'm always looking at him. And when I sit next to girls, you know, it's like I don't care what they're doing.
I don't joke around as much. I actually pay more attention. Yeah, you don't go around flirting with the other girls and everything. You stay focused.
In girls' class, you can actually raise your hand with freedom, and with guys, they're gonna think like, "Oh, you a nerd? Ew." You just don't like that.
Get more comfortable in the class, which helps you enjoy it and learn easier. With the regular class, it's on and off. Some people are emotional, and some people like to talk a lot, and that could really distract you during your class, and it does a difference.
You got two people working to help you, so yeah, so you know what you're doing.
There's more attention towards the students.
In a sense, it is easier for me to learn with the lifeboat tutors because I don't have to rely on the teacher or nobody else. Just when I'm by myself, I can just call on the lifeboat tutor to help me.
And we're back. If you're like me, there were a couple of points in that quick video that just went by too quickly for you or me to absorb. So let me paraphrase. Good, great, wow, great, wonderful. I think that covers the feedback on the KC Prep, team teaching, AVID, lifeboat tutors, and gender-segregated classrooms. So now let's turn to our guest, the magically appearing before us, Mr. Jason Evans, who is the youth pastor at Judson Baptist Church in San Bernardino.
Yes, thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Great to have you.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
All right, so you have been making, as I said in the opening, a real impact at the school.
Yes.
Tell me how you're doing it.
Oh, we got a unique opportunity to actually partnership with Pacific High School through the Adopt a School program. I got to meet with our principal, Tex Acosta, and just talk about coming on campus and bringing on some volunteers to help them. So we started a program there called Student Advocates, and that's where we bring on 5 to 7 approved adult volunteers to come on campus during lunchtime every other Friday and just ask kids, you know, how can we help you? And it's been remarkable on how much these kids have been able to open up to us because we're volunteers, so they know that we're not teachers, we're not administrators, we're there to help. And it's just been an absolute blast watching these kids respond to us.
So you're representatives of a church.
That's correct.
You come onto the campus. You have those that attend church regularly that probably welcome it, and you have those that don't, that are like, you know, hey, I'm not so sure of you. You know, how do you get over that hump?
Well, you know, the kids necessarily don't know that we're from a church because we're just volunteers. We're coming on. And so when we're on the campus and we're just talking to them like regular kids. And what's interesting is kids, a lot of adults assume that the kids don't want to hear from adults, but that's actually totally opposite. As you start to listen to these kids and they notice that you're listening to them, they start opening up about just about everything. And also, too, like I said earlier, when they know you're not a teacher, there's a lot more things that they share with you. So it's been a real blessing for us to be on campus helping out.
So You first proposed this to Tex.
That's correct.
And I'm assuming that he doesn't just green light it and
No.
say yes right away.
No.
How do you tell him? You gave me a phrase that you're there to, what?
Be a blessing, not a burden. And again, there's a lot of different groups that come on and have an agenda. And so our first question with Tex was how can we help you? You know, what are the needs here in the school? And so as he started pointing out certain different things, we just started stepping in. So one of the things he said, he goes, our kids are horrible at picking up trash after lunch. And so I thought, well, you know, I remember being like that in high school, just not really caring. And so what we did is we had our student advocates in our binders that we carry around after we talk to the kids. When the kids have been shooed off back to class, we actually give our student advocates rubber gloves, and we start helping clean up the quad. And just little stuff like that, you know, made the administrators go, okay,
Wow.
hey, this group is here to really help us. And so we just really appreciated the support that we're getting from them.
You say student advocates. Are they students who are advocates, or are those the adult volunteers?
The adult volunteers are the student advocates, and this is kind of how it works. Is we go onto the campus and we start meeting with kids, we pass out cards that say student advocate on it. On the back, there's a menu list of different things that we'd like to help the kids with. Everything from grades to utilities to helping with health insurance to you name it.
And you literally print that up, as
Yes.
in...
We print it up and hand it to the kid, and we just ask him, what can we help you with? And as these kids look down the list, like one of the young ladies goes, hey, I see something there's on pregnancy. You know, I've got a friend that I need, needs help. And we go, oh, we've got a resource. So we partner with the San Bernardino Pregnancy Resource Center in San Bernardino, and we hand the kid the pamphlet and say, these people can help your friend, and we start passing out resources that way. So it's just it's a really unique thing that we get to do with the kids. So we really enjoy that, and I love the stories that we're getting from our student advocates as they meet these kids, because the kids are like, what do you want from us? And we tell them...
I was just going to say it. I would imagine that they think you're going to proselytize while you're there. And not really be concerned with them personally, just whether they're saved, for instance. How do you... I mentioned how do you get over that hump, but really you're talking about the stories where they open up to you.
Yeah, they start sharing, you just name it, whatever they share. We had one young lady that shared with us that she actually had a couple classes that she was failing in. And so, our student advocate, we pull her aside and we sit down and go, well, what's going on? And as she starts explaining, she's talking about how stepdad is losing his job, how he has a drinking problem, how mom is injured and at home bedridden, how she lost her boyfriend, and we know what that means to young teenage ladies sometimes. And she's failing 2 of these classes, and just say, would you like help with that? And we actually walked with her to the 2 classrooms. The teachers weren't there during the lunch, but then afterwards was able to go back to the office and make a phone call to her counselor, because we take down their student ID and just ask, hey, how can we help this kid? And for her to go on the computer and go, wait, something's amiss here, because this is a great kid. Why is she, not doing so good? So telling her the story, this is what the kid shared, and the counselor says, how do you know this? And I said, well, we ask. And it's just a unique thing that we get as we partnership with the school on, how we can get some of this information from these kids. So it's just been, it's been amazing. It really has.
I'm going to jump up to an email that we got, Ben from Rialto. When did you start this program, and are you thinking of expanding it to other high schools?
That is a great question. We actually started it 2 years ago. Last year was the first pilot. It went so well that we went ahead and started the next year and had more people volunteer and actually start to donate more resources for us to help out the kids, like backpacks and school supplies and stepping in. So our dream is that as the funding comes in, we would love to see, with, of course, the school district's approval, we'd like to see this program in all the high schools.
So let's talk about that for a moment.
Okay.
Well, I want to circle back a little bit later and talk a little bit more about the impact on the individual students, like the girl that you were just talking.
Correct.
But let's talk big picture for a moment.
Okay.
There's a lot of churches in our region.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
Yes.
And there's a lot of high schools.
Right.
Why don't all these high schools have this kind of program?
Well, a lot of the high schools do. I'm actually part of an association called the San Bernardino Christian Educators Alliance, which is a bunch of teachers who are faith-based and basically through the Adopt a School program helped encourage churches to adopt schools. Now, I'm proud to say that we had quite a few churches adopt schools, and each church has their different mission on what they're going to do in helping the school. Some like to just give the resources and that's what they'll do, or they'll come and do a cleanup day. But we chose to be a little more missional missional and get on there and be one-on-one with the kids and interact that way.
By missional, you mean that you're there really focused on the kids' success. I mean, it sounds like anything you need to do to get these kids focused back on school and graduating.
Yes. Well, I'm an ex-business guy, and they taught us in marketing, sales and marketing, that you go to where your clientele is. And as a youth pastor, I mean, where's the greatest number of kids? It's in the local high schools. And so we want to be there and help the kids. And it's just great. It's fun to help watch a kid turn a corner. Because, you know, as we're talking about the dropout rate, so many of these kids, when they start to get behind because of life circumstances or the challenges or maybe in some poor choices that they've made, they basically feel like they're drowning. And there's one point where they get this, I call it the whatever attitude. They're like, whatever. And they just don't want to even try anymore. And so we're there to advocate and say, come on, we believe in you. We know that you can do this, and how can we help? And it's just been absolutely fantastic to watch the turnaround of some of these kids.
Do they believe you when you say you believe in them?
I wish all of them did. And we actually had this one kid. I was walking with one of our student advocates, Miss Charity Ali. Her husband's a doctor here in town, and she comes in and helps us out with it. And as we were walking around, we handed the card. We said, hey, we believe we're here. And the kid yells out at us, where were you last year? and he was giving her a hard time, and I said, well, we just started the program, you know, but I said, we're here now, what do you need? And he's like, well, I don't know, you know, and he kind of mumbled away. But so there's some kids that are very skeptical, but again, it blows me away. So many kids in the community are just looking for adults, someone that'll just care and stop, because us adults sometimes go, oh, those kids. And we got to realize that
those kids.
We were those kids at one point, weren't we?
Never. No,
come on.
Absolutely not.
We were those kids, and you know what? The kid is a kid, and they have not changed. And so they're just looking. And so I would say the majority, hey, you know, yes, I might need this help, and hold on the card. And there's some kids that just toss them, and we just say, okay, hey, if you ever need us, you know where to find the card.
What about those that actually, like, throw that back at you? And like challenge you.
Next. Next. Excel's guy, right? It's next.
Okay.
Because if that kid doesn't want the help, we're not going to sit there and go, come on, there's got to be something. We just go, if you ever need us, you'll see us every other Friday with our student advocate shirts, walking around passing out cards or handing out resources. And if you ever need us, come see us. And we just go next. And the next kid, sure enough, you go there and they say, I do need help with this. Or my family's going through this. Can you help with this?
How bad is it? I mean, how many kids are struggling in school because their home situation is so tenuous?
I'm going to say 78 percentile.
Really?
78 percentile. And I'm basing that off of 18 years of working with kids in San Bernardino, and then 10 years as the full-time youth pastor at Judson Baptist Church. That's
a huge number.
Huge number. And here's the thing. It's every family's got junk. Every family's got something. And so we've just learned to go with it and deal with it and help those kids, whatever that need be. And sometimes they're really small and they think it's huge. And there's other times there are kids that tell us these horrific stories that I just shake my head and go, I can't believe you're still walking and talking and in school.
I'm going to jump over to another email. By the way, being a live show, we really love that you send the emails and call with legitimate questions. And you can tweet. Question from Sharon from Upland. And can somebody from the general public volunteer at the school, or must they be a member of your church?
No, they do not need to be a member of the church. Actually, my student advocate director, Wendy Everett, she's the one who helps run the program with me. We're actually looking to partner with some of the local colleges and what have you to get people. So yeah, we would love that, to get with them. And again, there's going to be a background check with the school. We want to make sure that everyone's legit and legal. And yeah, we would love that. So please contact us at Judson Baptist Church and our nonprofits, the Revolution Youth Advocates. And we'd love to maybe sign you up for next school year and have you come out with us. That'd be a blast.
Thank you, Sharon. That great question. I appreciate that. So you told me a story before we started that really impacted me, and it was that darn disrespectful kid.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to keep names off so make sure that we don't get
Please
any
do.
teachers in trouble. But I have a friend, and we were meeting.
You're a teacher?
Yeah, no, yeah, we have a friend that is a teacher in the school district, and we've had a breakfast from time to time. And he started sharing with me about this kid in his middle school that was being disrespectful to him every time he'd go to teach. And every time he would turn his back and start writing on the board, this kid would just lay his head on the ground and start sleeping. And so he'd go over and shake the kid, going, "Hey, get up, wake up, wake up. You know, why are you being so disrespectful?" And so as we're having our breakfast, he's like, "Pastor Jason, you know, I got this kid. Why is he being so disrespectful? I don't get it. It frustrates me." And I asked the question, like we do with our student advocate program at Pacific, is why? You know, why is that kid doing that? And if you asked him, he goes, "Well, I haven't." I said, "Maybe you should." So he told me that after class one day, he pulled the kid aside and said, you know, "Hey, why are you always going to sleep?" And this kid told him a story about how he has a single mom who's addicted to drugs here in town, and that this kid's mom has people coming in and out of the house at all hours of the night, and he just doesn't feel safe. And so most nights, he's out walking the streets. And when he gets to school, he feels safe. And so he feels like he can sleep there in class. And so our friend said, "I tell you what, if you come in here and you've had a night like that, you let me know. And I'll let you rest." And, you know, that's the kind of stuff that we need to start asking these kids is going, okay, what's behind the behavioral issue? Why are they disrespecting? Why are they doing what they're doing? Because I've never met a bad kid, just a missteered kid.
I was dumbstruck by that. I mean, I was envisioning a kid that didn't care, had checked out, plays video games all night, couldn't care less how much work the teacher was putting into their lesson plan. And you're telling me about a kid that's scared to sleep in their own room, who feels safe at school as they should.
Yes. That's the reality of San Bernardino.
Wow.
That's
and
really.
Pacific High School is, I mean, I was there. Everybody comes in through the administrative office. They're greeted by the same staff every time.
Dolly, she's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it is a very safe environment for these kids.
It really is.
And then, of course, you and your staff are there in priestly robes, being very overt.
No, just t-shirt and jeans and meeting with the kids, rocking our sneakers just like everyone else. But I'll tell you what, Text and his team down there at the school, Principal Okosa, just phenomenal. The teachers that are there, and for those of you that have been teachers before in underprivileged communities, you know this. It's a labor of love. And the majority, I'm not saying all, the majority of our teachers that are down there have a passion for kids. And I applaud them. And again, that's one of the things that we love to do is our Adopt a School. We just did last night actually, we did a teacher appreciation where our kids nominated teachers that made an impact in them, and we gave them what we call the Compass Award, and just for directing their young lives and applauding them and saying thank you. And so I would like to say thank you to all of our teachers. They're just phenomenal.
Wow. That's a great program.
Yeah.
Compass Award.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you get kids, they see you on there rocking your sneakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they ever come up and say, you know, "I can't believe you're a pastor"?
Oh, I get that all the time. You know, the stereotypical, like, you know, like you said, the robe or the collar or what have you. But no, I think a lot of that's changed, especially in the Protestant church. Most youth pastors are rocking it. But if you notice, this youth pastor is not rocking an earring. So, yeah, don't have that.
Staying a little conservative.
Yeah, I'm a little more conservative on that. Yeah.
Do you ever talk to them about why they need the gauge to be so large in the hole in their ear? I mean, how are they ever going to go corporate? How do you repair that?
You know what? That's a great question. We've had that, and I've had kids come to me and go, "Now you're a pastor, right?" And I go, "Yeah." "Well, what do you think about this? Is this a sin?" And I said, "Well, you know, I'm going to say it's a sin, but you know, we believe that God created your body a temple. And yes, we want to respect that, but you know, then I get back to the question, well, why are you putting that in your ear? You know, and as you start dealing with it, you get just a smorgasbord of answers. Everything from I'm trying to get back at my parents to, well, that's what my friends do. You know, so.
What can you say to the kids that are much more subject to peer pressure than they are to parental or societal advice?
It's not changed. I mean, it's very interesting that peer pressure, you know, the interesting thing about peer pressure, everyone always assumes when you say that has a negative connotation to it. It can go positive as well.
Nathan was a great example of that.
Perfect example.
His friends helping him.
Introvert.
Yeah.
just doesn't want to talk, and then he has a sphere of friends that come around him and say, we love you, we care for you, and he starts to blossom as a kid. So I think what they're doing, especially with the AVID program, is they start getting a lot of these kids who want to, maybe get out of the circumstances that they see in San Bernardino. And it's encouraging, and they build almost like a little village.
Jason, I have a question, and it's from an email, but anonymous, which is your privilege. What made you think of the program, and how long before it was up and running?
Wow, being the full-time youth pastor for 10 years, 8 years of ministering to kids at Pacific, and driving by that school almost every day, just going, man, I love a chance to help out. And the school was always willing to let us come on to the Christian club and do that.
Because it was you were seen as the pastoral duties, the youth pastor.
Yeah, so just really looking at, and that's one of the reasons why we started the nonprofit, is we noticed the amount of kids that we were reaching and all of the needs that were there was just way beyond what a church in San Bernardino could afford to do. And so we just started dreaming a little bit. So this was one of the things that we said, okay, if we're going to help kids, getting back to where are kids, that's something we did. So it's been a few years. So
Jason, I'm hitting the brake there.
Okay, go.
You said nonprofit. Explain what you mean by nonprofit.
Okay, we had a dream. I love telling a story on how it all kind of started inside of me. I was a kid who grew up with not much. There's many times that my dad didn't make a whole lot of money. And so growing up as a kid, I used to have shoes in junior high school that we call them alligatored out. They have
they split.
Yeah, they split. And I remember just getting made fun of that. And I remember as a kid going, man, when I make some money, I'm going to have shoes. And I don't want to tell you about my Nike collection. I have quite a few shoes. But we had some junior high students come and help us set up one night, and I love doing a thing called reward the desired response. And when a kid does something good, rewarding them for that so it builds on that behavior. And so as these two young boys were helping us set up, I said, hey, after we set up the chairs, I'm going to take you in the snack bar there at the church, and I'm going to get you a soda and a candy bar. And they're pumped up, come inside. And as we go into the room where we hold that stuff, one of the boys goes, oh, Pastor Jay, are those for us? And over my left shoulder, I'd forgotten that a wonderful lady at our church had collected 25 or 30 boxes of brand new shoes for the elementary school right next door to our church, just to give them. And I looked at him, and I looked down at his shoes, and I saw them alligatored out, and I said, no, buddy, I'm sorry, they're not for you. And that night when I drove home, I thought, what am I going to do about this? I really felt like, you know what, that was me. And so I thought by just going and purchasing this kid a pair of shoes that it would go away. But after I bought that kid a pair of shoes, something happened inside of me that I can only explain that God gave it to me, is that basically I started seeing all the hurt, all the pain, all the stuff that was in our community. And I just thought, I've got to do something. I've got to do something for these kids that I've just absolutely, kids and city that I've just absolutely grown to love.
We talked to one of our student guests here last season during the American Graduate Project about this idea of peer pressure and do you need the Jordans and those kind of things. Like, shouldn't you be, again, our generation, shouldn't you be focused on the books and not worried about, what brand your clothes are? And it was really enlightening as we discovered from them that the degree to which they can adhere to peer expectation is the degree to which the kids leave them alone and they can get focused on what we as parents want, the studies. But if they are out of the mainstream, they are very often taunted and ridiculed, and that becomes the focus. It overrides their ability to do their work.
And that's one of the reasons why we started a program with the nonprofit, with the Friends of Revolution. It's called Dress for Success, where we take 25 students to go out school shopping. And I don't know if you remember what it was like as a kid to go school shopping and actually get clothes you liked.
No, high-water corduroys. Isn't that the school uniform?
No, it's not. And as a kid goes, and how they feel when they've got newer clothes. There's kids that we've taken. One of our kids, a student advocate, pulled me aside and said, this kid just said that they've never been school shopping before. And I went, really? And I had one of our mentors that was linked up with one of our young ladies, one of our senior saints at the church, go, Pastor Jay, this young lady doesn't even know how to size a brassiere. And I said, okay, then you teach her. And she goes, well, why didn't someone else teach her? And I go, she doesn't have a mom. You be her mom today.
Wow.
And so, there's something about that. And as these kids walk out with their new clothes, we've actually checked in with some of their family members. their grade point averages started going up because they feel confident, they feel good. I mean, how do we feel in a nice tailored suit?
Yeah.
$1 million bucks, right?
Hides a lot.
It does hide a lot.
Only partially, mind you.
But with kids, it's the same way.
You know, I will mention, I'm an only child. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. when it came time to go shopping, you know, obviously it was shopping for me. And I had a friend who was the third oldest, which meant that the shopping went to the oldest child, and then that child handed down to the second, and then the third got the hand-me-downs. And so, yeah, there was school shopping in the family, just not for that child. Always hand-me-downs, always what was last generation. And they felt very self-conscious about that.
And that is the present reality that we're seeing in our city and with our kids. So when we can have the ability to take a kid out and buy those kind of things, we see an immediate change just in everything about them.
So the nonprofit you mentioned, is it a church advocacy nonprofit? Is it secular?
It's actually secular. We started underneath the church's umbrella, and then we have branched off, and so it's its separate entity. We do have some of our board members do attend Judson Baptist Church, but our whole goal is to reach out into the school and into the community with it, and so it's been a great run so far.
Now, probably missed by our audience a little bit. It took me a moment to catch. You had been pastoring to those students for 10 years. And then 8 years in, you were driving by saying there's more we could do. And that's the pivot point. A lot of churches, I imagine, are reaching out and pastoring to the willing students in the high schools locally. But you took it a different step. You went into the school grounds as not a representative of a church, but as just an adult that wanted to help fix obstacles in these students' lives. How can we model this in other locations?
Well, you know, it's gonna take a concerted effort, and for people to really just kind of have a passion for it. I mean, it is the harder work. I'm not gonna lie. It's difficult work to get on there. But again, like I said, with the kids who won't go see the administrator when they have an issue, or go see a teacher because they feel embarrassed, we found that
is a problem, right?
That is a challenge that they definitely have. And trying to help them overcome. No, they're here to help. You know, the kids go, no, the teachers hate me. They don't. But we found the same thing at church. Some kids, you know, they might be having issues, but might be the last place they would do is step into a church or on a church ground of people they don't know. And so it's best for it to be where the kids are at.
Is it something that can be modeled elsewhere?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you said, it's hard work.
Absolutely. But it's going to take some individuals that are going to be selfless, and we're also going to need more adults and even retirees. Our retirees that you're watching right now, God's not done with you yet. If you're still on this planet, you got something to give. And actually, one of our student advocates is actually a senior, and she loves it. And the kids look at her like a grandma, and they just open up to her like that fast, actually faster than me.
I would have thought the opposite.
And it's hilarious because a lot of these kids don't even have grandparents here in town that they're connected with. And so, I don't know, a shout out to our senior population. Yeah. The schools need you.
All right, Jason, we only have a few seconds. We have an email. Growing up, I didn't have a computer in the house. I had to use the school's computer for all my school research and the essays, but the computers were mostly down. How do you help kids that don't have access to a computer?
You know, it is funny you said that.
And you only have about 30 seconds.
I'm going to actually meet with Principal Costa at the end of the school year to talk about how we can help out with that and actually have some off-sites. There's many great organizations in San Bernardino that have that, but we're probably one of the closer organizations that is adopted the school. And so we're going to actually be talking about that. Good. How can we open up some kind of tutoring center on the property at the church down the road? So, but again, it's contingent to funding.
Of course.
Yes.
So we hope you help.
Yes.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. I'd like to thank my guests, Pacific High School students Daniela, Palma-Munguia, and Nathan Medina-Silva. And of course, Pastor Jason Evans of the Judson Baptist Church. Tune in next week when we look at a pilot program that uses the arts as a way to help children respond positively to the bullying they experience in their school. I'm Roger Bowman. I want to thank you for watching Plugged Inland.